contain us. They just kind of.
Enemy in the container.
Oh well. Thank you for pretty much confirming what I just said.
Right now, I resided somewhere in Minnesota. It's cold. It's like negative 18 degrees outside right now.
80s pop funk.
My first job was on Madden 20.
My name is Jonathan Miller. I am 29 years old, and I'm the arena manager at Belong Gaming Arenas in Franklin, Tennessee.
When you were growing up, like what kind of created your passion for video games, and what did you play, and things like that?
Yeah, I have a pretty unique background, I guess you could say. So I was born out west in Arizona, moved to Tennessee with my family through one of my mom's family friends, and then when we got to Tennessee, I met some friends at a young age that were really passionate about gaming. My first passion was definitely sports and football. Huge football fan, big Titans fan. Love the sport and the analytics of like building teams and recruiting players and all that fun stuff. So when I kind of learned about gaming and the fact that you could have a competitive, you could seek it competitively, that's what got me really excited. So a buddy of mine, his name is Austin. I met him in middle school, and he taught me about Halo 2. And I'd seen Halo 1 before on the Xbox. Was a big casual gamer for a really long time. My dad, it's like the one thing that me and my dad connected on was in video games. So I was playing, what's that? Game Day 97 with Terrell Davis on the cover.
Yeah.
Was playing that original Donkey Kong on the Nintendo, then PlayStation 1, Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, stuff like that. So there's a lot of I was just a big classic video game fan, but I learned the competitive side and having a competitive drive for gaming through Halo 2. And one of my friends who showed me that, and there was this company called Major League Gaming that was basically the first organized esports tournament organizer. So esports hadn't really gotten its term coined yet, right? But it was like people could travel and the winning team would share a pot of $20,000 or $25,000. So it was like, yo, this could be a job if you were good enough. And when I learned that, everything changed. That was probably like 2005, 2006 is when I started gaming. So 8th grade going into freshman year. Then I started playing Halo religiously. And when I mean religiously, I mean like wake up, go to school, get home from school, play until 11 p.m., midnight, 1 a.m. sometimes, get up, rinse and repeat. So much so that I eventually started traveling to these Major League Gaming events with my friends. And then as the Halos came out, I really stuck with it. Like being a professional gamer is something I really wanted to do. But the thing was, and, it's really not that long ago, but, 2007, 2008, 2009, I mean, it was a pipe dream, right? It was like there was the 1% of people who were professional gamers. Like on G4, you saw people playing SOCOM and stuff like that, and those people were making little bits of money. Even the professional gamers were making an inconsistent amount. But I stuck with it because it was something I really cared about, and I saw that there could be a real future in it, and thankfully for me there was. So that kind of led me to a lot of things. I gamed really extensively for a long time until eventually I did get to the professional level, played professionally for a little bit, and then the game started to die. and then from there I was like, okay, this is the industry I want to work in. So I spent, years, volunteering my time. I went from being a professional player to a caster, did some broadcasting. I had zero broadcasting experience, but just because I knew the game really well, kind of like NFL players, NBA players that retire, they know the game in and out, so they can speak to it really well. That's kind of what I did at my level. And then eventually did the business side of it. And that, the world of esports in the past 12, 13, 15 years has come a long way. So thankfully the way I explain it is I kind of grew up in the industry. As I was growing up gaining, experience, it was the industry was really booming. And then of course the past 6-7 years have been huge for esports. Content creators have been it's a big deal there. Professional athletes are wanting to be content creators themselves. I mean, the whole world has the digital world has completely changed. So I've been really fortunate that, the past decade plus of my professional career has been, I've been I've been an industry expert because I grew up with the industry. So.
Right. So kind of speak to how like Belong kind of enters into that. Like, how does it, how did it enhance it? How did that like kind of transition for you as you kind of went with Belong?
It's actually a really funny story because so my gaming career kind of got started because of Major League Gaming, right? And I, played there for a really long time and traveled to those tournaments. And the founding group that created Major League Gaming really set the standard for what esports is. And then, there was a lot of success through Halo, some other titles, like Gears of War and League of Legends, StarCraft that they did that Smash Brothers that was so successful. But then when Halo started to kind of die as a franchise, or lose steam rather, their Call of Duty, like you said, kind of picked up. So that's actually a really good point. A lot of people don't think about that, but Call of Duty has always been a very mainstream, casual, friendly game.
Right.
So when Call of Duty met the intersection of competitive gaming, then it brought the casual fans with it and it really exploded. And MLG was the reason for that as well. I mean, they were the ones that pioneered it. So they just made a quick pivot into Call of Duty and then it continued to scale. Well, MLG sold to Activision Blizzard, and they were hired their whole staff, everybody brought on for a couple of years. And when that contract ended, basically, there was the opportunity to start again. So the interesting thing about Belong is that Belong has been a successful business for several years in the UK. Belong was basically attached to their version of GameStop, which is called Game. So you'd have like a game store, and then you would have this pay to play type style of business, which is what Belong is now, attached to it. And then over the years they built, it was very successful, 28 arenas over there, and they're doing awesome, right? Well, in 2019, when the MLG team, basically, which is the primary two guys, which is Mike Sepso and Sundance D Giovanni, shout out to those guys. Those are like they're like my idols in this space. I mean, they're the reason why I'm in the competitive gaming space. So to kind of tie this all together, in 2019, they started a new company called Vendex, which is a tech and gaming company, which also owns Belong and Esports Engine. Esports Engine is essentially MLG 2.0. Now, I feel like that's kind of not doing it justice. But Esports Engine does all of the major production for all of the big tournaments right now. So Halo and the Halo Championship Series that's being done is all Esports Engine. I know that they have their hand in the Call of Duty stuff with Activision and the Call of Duty World League, which is now owned by Microsoft. And they basically, if it's a major production, whether it's online or in person, Esports Engine is responsible. So they're the sister company to Belong. And then of course, Belong in essence is, competitive and casual gaming. It's the home for that, right? So it's like the same way that whether you're consuming your esports or your casual gaming at home versus being able to have a place where you can go and do it with all your friends and kind of have that camaraderie, right? It's like, it's the same example I give everybody, which is like, why would you want to, go watch a football game in person? Why would you want to get together for a Thanksgiving meal? The point is the camaraderie, right? Feeling the togetherness. And that's just as important in gaming as it is for any other sport or any other, social activity. So I say all that to say, when I found out that Belong was kind of starting to come over to the US and the arenas were sprouting up, and that one of the first 5 was coming to Nashville, it was a big deal for me because this is my home. Like, Middle Tennessee has been my home since I was 4 years old. When I was a competitive gamer, I was a part of this gaming community that kind of got overlooked because we were a smaller market.
Right.
And then to have the MLG guys who I, love so much and look up to, and the reason why my gaming career kind of had a way to begin, they are the ones who are starting this venture, and it happens to be happening in my hometown. So it's like, man, I got to be a part of this. So it all kind of came full circle for me. So I was like, yeah, I want to be able to drive esports for Nashville because, we've really needed it. We've been a starving market. And as you can see now today, like, there's so many like we're the #1 real estate market right now in the world. Like we just overtook, or not in the world, but in the country, we just overtook Austin, Texas. So a ton of people are moving here. But for the longest time, you know, we've been a smaller market. We've been overlooked. So it's really cool to kind of see esports get its shine now.
So like, just kind of walk me through like the vibe of like, you know, the store and just kind of like the different camaraderies and things that's going on in there.
Yeah, it's a really special place for a couple of reasons, right? So and this is kind of the way we see our customers too, is that gamers are very different people in the way that they kind of express themselves through games, right? Like you have your people like me who are very competitive. Like nowadays, I'm more like, if I can be competitive, if it scratches my competitive itch, then I'm going to enjoy it. And I'm like a little bit less of a casual gamer. So you have your competitive folks who are just looking to scratch their competitive itch. You have the people who are just casual gamers who just kind of want to have a good time with their friends and they're really down to play whatever. And then you have younger people who are kind of experiencing what this type of gaming culture is for the first time. And they're like, do I want to be competitive? I don't know. Do I want to just be casual? I don't know. I just kind of just want to be here and enjoy it and hope that my parents can kind of understand it.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's people who, and gamers who play with their parents. There's people who are loners. They're just like, hey, I'm about to head into work. I got 2 hours to kill. Let me jump into Belong, get a couple games of Warzone in, kind of just vibe out, just really enjoy my own time and then go do my thing. So it's really great because you get to experience all those different people. And Belong becomes a home for all those different gaming experiences. My personal favorite, hands down, it's something that's really near and dear to me because I'm passionate about it because I lived it, because I was this person. But I really enjoy speaking with parents of young kids who are interested, whether it's like they want to be a competitive gamer or they just want to work in the gaming industry, but they don't even know what that means or how to even pursue it or where to begin. I love having that conversation with parents because the tide's shifted pretty heavily in recent time, but you still get the occasional person who's like, well, you know, I'd really like him to be outside, but if he can be in here while I shop, then that's cool. And I'm like, actually, mom, like let me hit you with the facts, you know. And I'm able to kind of talk them through like, hey, you know, not only is this something you should really be embracing as a positive thing for your son or daughter, but more importantly, gaming in this industry doesn't have to just be like the traditional like Mountain Dew drinking, hot pocket eating, you know, basement troll, you know. Like there are plenty of people that express themselves through gaming in a really positive way and turn it into careers. So for me, like educating parents on what this is and the just infinite avenues they could take it, but also having it be like a really inclusive place for everybody too is really important because again, like you could probably, I would argue that the gaming industry and esports and gaming culture is there's so many different cultural bubbles that are all under the same roof, right? Like different ethnicities, different, like obviously genders, like everybody kind of just fits under the same roof. And it's really an awesome place to kind of just not have to worry about the outside noise and just enjoy like the same stuff, you know, and get excited about the, you know, one person, it was yesterday, someone that I was sitting next to, I was like, we were messing with this MLB thing because MLB, the show just came out and we're doing something cool with it. But the person who was sitting next to me is a customer who came in for the first time. They're like, I'll get a day pass. This is really cool. I'm gonna check this out. And then she was playing and she got a win in Fortnite. And one of the customers who just walked in, who was waiting to get seated, walked over and got excited with her. And they were like all hyped and like high-fiving and stuff. And then someone from my staff came over and got excited. And then like you see someone's success just spread throughout the arena in such a like infectious way that's so much fun. And it really is. Like I know that, you know, we might say like, hey, inclusion is super important in this industry, but I feel like we're the type of industry that can show it the best too. And so that's something to be proud of also.
Especially when we were kids kind of coming up, you really didn't think about the business side of, you know, gaming as a, I mean, now you think of it as, okay, yeah, we buy the game. Somebody, you know, there's, you know, things exchanging hands there, but okay, somebody had to do the animation, somebody had to do the music, somebody had to do the everything. And so like,
you know, it's brilliant is you can go deeper. you can go deeper now. So this
Yeah.
is something else that gets me really excited, because traditionally for the past, 15, 20 years or whatever, we've been able to say, well, hey, someone had to engineer the game. Someone had to design the characters. Someone has to market it and all those things. And all that is true. But now it goes even deeper, because the non-endemic money is getting spent in our space now. So like before, it was very narrow-minded, where businesses were only pouring money into it that made sense for their product, right? But now you have Bounty, the quicker picker upper, dumping millions of dollars into paying gaming influencers to market their brand. Like 10 years ago, that made zero sense. It was like, why on earth would we ever? And it's because esports and gaming culture is built into digital technology, and digital technology has advanced so greatly that now that's where marketing dollars have to be spent. That's where PR campaigns and like all these different things have to be spent in this space, because that's where all the eyeballs are. So what's really interesting is to have people, millennials and the younger generations who are now getting older and we have our own money, we have our own families, we're spending our own money on all these things, but it's the same interests. Like, going to a gaming convention sounds just as exciting to me today as it did 10, 12 years ago. Right. So it's like to see where the money's going. It's like less about spending money on billboards and more about spending money on the inside of the space, like doing activations around, certain things. So yeah, so that's what's so exciting too. And that's part of the conversations I can have with parents and educators. By the way, I've hosted, Williamson County schools, Metro Nashville public schools. And the conversations with them are all like, hey, you guys really need to be dumping resources into this world, because this is where all the young eyeballs are, and they're starting to, which is super exciting.
So kind of talk to me a little bit more about more of the competitive side, and as you have been a part of the competitive space. Talk to me about like the events you guys throw at Belong, and like just the different teams that kind of, come in and do their thing. Do people want to come in and like start teams? Like kind of walk me through all of that.
Yeah. Well, my competitive background is, like I said, that's kind of what got me started in the gaming industry. Was I saw that people could make a ton of money playing, and the game was super interesting to me. And like I said, I was a sports kid. Like I really enjoyed basketball and football. So to think that I could take my competitive spirit within sports and apply it to a video game was just super interesting. And it's like, it's the exact same. Like I've probably competed in 50 to 60 tournaments, maybe more, both online and in person, in the past decade or so. And I've played on a really high level. I've played on the main stage in front of what felt like hundreds and hundreds of people, probably a little less than that. But, so I've been in like basically every major competitive environment and experienced that. And to be honest, even to this day, it's not super practical for me now, because I have a family. I have a 2-year-old, and focusing really hard on my career and advancing there. But even to this day, like just recently, like not even basically 6 or 8 months ago, I was competing again, and I was signed to an org and everything. Like the game can grab my heart, and that's because the competitive, when you're playing with your teammates, the nuance is the same as you would expect from any other sports, right? Like any other sport, is that your communication has to be really good with your teammates. Every other professional sport would tell you the exact same thing.
Right.
Your mental fortitude and everything you bring mentally to the game is just as important as the physical. Again, every other professional sport would tell you the exact same thing. So you kind of get to have the same type of competitive fire that you would bring to traditional sports to this. And you have to, the 1% is still the 1%, regardless of what you're playing. A really interesting example of this would be when I was in 2018, I joined the Dallas Mavericks in Mavs Gaming as a marketing manager. So I was helping Mark Cuban and the gaming team there. And one of our players, before he left, his name was Ryan. His gamer tag is Dayfry. We ended up trading him to the Wizards. Now he's I'm pretty sure he got finals MVP one year. He's got 2 championships under his belt. He's fantastic. He's a great guy. But Ryan, the interesting thing about him is that he was a young collegiate baseball player, and he was really good. Well, he I hope I'm getting this right, but I think he tore his ACL, and then it was like, you're done basically. So I think he lost his scholarship. He was in a really dark place, and he was, like most other collegiate athletes who, if they have a tragic injury, it sidelines you and you kind of like, you're not sure what you're going to do. Well, Ryan was really good at 2K. So he started playing 2K with some of his friends. He got really good really fast. And then all of a sudden, he found the NBA 2K league, and the NBA decided to start this 2K league. And now he's finding himself as one of the best players in the world. And he took that same competitive drive and that same competitive fire that he had playing baseball, and he applied it to 2K, and now he's a two-time champion and one of the best 2K players in the world. So that's the example I'm trying to give, is it's like, regardless of whether it's professional sports or anything else you're doing in your life, that same competitive drive you can apply to this. So that's probably, to me, what got me so excited and really what kept me playing for so long was because I got to kind of express that through gaming, which I loved. But as far as Belong goes, there's a ton of opportunity to compete. The idea that we're trying to build is basically we want to build an amateur pipeline to the next stage of what esports can be. And that's just for the competitor, right? So on the competition side, we want to be able to put you on a pedestal that'll get you seen by talent and eventually, be able to move up.
Like, what are your visions as far as like, how VR is going to start incorporating itself in this sort of competitive sort of atmosphere, and kind of how do you think Belong will kind of fit their way into that?
Yeah, well, I think VR right now is very heavily casual. And I think it's because it's kind of like the next progression, the next step for technology in general. So I think that eventually we will have some opportunities for, some competitive titles and some some competition within VR. And that's already starting to kind of begin on more of like a casual, laid back type of thing. And we'll see. I think there's a lot of opportunity in the future to develop that a little further. We get a ton of questions about VR on a regular basis, and we've tried it out. I know some arenas in the UK have some VR experiences, and I think that eventually that'll be something that we'll add to what we provide. But as far as competition goes, I would love to kind of see how that evolves. I'm not sure. I mean, I think the I guess the stereotypical thing that you've seen in like movies and stuff is like, when you look at gaming, it's like VR, you put your headset on and you're running through a field and like shooting people and stuff. And like, who knows? Maybe that's the next step for Call of Duty. You put a helmet on and then you're running around doing that. Who knows? That'd be exciting to see.
Yeah, for sure. You do progress with Belong. Like, what is the future hold? Like, is there anything like coming down the line that you're really excited about that, it might not be here just yet, but it might be right around the corner for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think personally, we'll kind of see. I think, operating within this space is where I'm super passionate. I love gaming. I love, where things are going as well, which is super exciting. Like the education around not just esports, but the digital content creation space is super interesting to me. I also love bridging the gap for people who are kind of in the non-endemic, non-traditional side, or I'm sorry, on the traditional corporate side, and kind of bridging that gap to the competitive esports and gaming side of things. So I'd like to think that moving forward for me, that'll probably be where I remain. And then as far as Belong goes, there's a lot to be excited about. We have a really aggressive growth strategy over the next couple of years. I would fully expect that Belong will be a household name in the near future.